It's showtime!
Look, it's been a very long time since something from one of these live streams actually surprised me, genuinely surprised me, something I did not see coming. And Dehya being standard is literally at the top of the list. When 3.0 came out and Tighnari ended up being on standard, I don't think anybody was really that surprised about that because it just makes sense to add Dendro to the standard banner. Adding a Dendro 5-star to the standard banner makes sure that all the main reactive elements are still represented on the banner, you know, with the exception of Geo. But I just don't consider that a main reactive element because Crystallize just isn't that exciting. It's also not just elements because that made sure there was a bow 5-star on the standard banner, and I guess that can be kind of important. It is something to look forward to for challenge accounts that they actually have a standard 5-star that they could use, you know, and by challenge accounts I mean like bow only, sword only, you know, things like that. Not exactly my cup of tea. The idea of a challenge account sounds really fun, but the idea of going through several regions of dialogue through Archon quests and crap, that just brings me nightmares, like doing my taxes, or the idea of using Qiqi in the Abyss. Ugh. You know, speaking of Qiqi, I think there are a lot of benefits to Dehya being on the standard banner. I'm personally really excited for it, and it's not just because it diminishes the chance of getting Qiqis. I'm really excited it's doing that, but it's not the only reason I care about it. But I would be lying if I said it wasn't a reason. It definitely is. I know it's definitely more of a whale problem to have an issue with getting so many copies of the standard 5-stars, or you know, just even low to mid spending players who've been playing for basically the entire duration of the game who keep losing all their 50/50s because they're definitely out there. Many of these players likely have at least 1 or 2 copies of C6 standard 5-star characters, and maybe they have a good spread of just all of them. In my own personal experience with people in my Discord server, it seems like everybody gets assigned one character that just won't leave them alone. In my case, it was Jean. In some other people's cases, it was Diluc. God, I wish mine was Diluc, but Diluc seems to have gotten a restraining order against me, and I never get any copies of him. So when you inevitably get to that point where you have a C6 standard 5-star, you dread getting a copy of that thing again because it sucks. And I do see people say, oh, you get 25 star glitter back. Yes, you're getting something back. You're getting a very small refund on something that probably took you like 60 to somewhere to like up to potentially 90 wishes to get. That's not a good return. It's like finding out your house burned down, and because you kept gallons of gasoline in your house for no discernible reason at all, they're actually going to deny your home insurance claim and charge you with felony insurance fraud. Oh, but today's not so bad, because amongst the wreckage of your entire life and all of your worldly possessions, you found out that the fire didn't consume everything you hold dear. It miraculously left your toothbrush that you've been using for a year and a half and desperately needs to be replaced with a new one perfectly intact. So at least you don't have to buy a new toothbrush. What a magical day. So literally any new addition to the standard 5-star banner is a welcome change to me. I've been playing for a long time, and some other people I know who don't spend nearly as much as me have also been playing for a long time, and they would also like to see some new 5-stars. Now, it does have some downsides. There are people who've been playing for a long time and still haven't gotten their favorite 5-star character, and that's a real bummer, and the chances are about to get worse. This kind of sentiment, whenever someone expresses that they're sad about not getting, say, like Qiqi, it's always followed by somebody saying, oh, well, it's fine because they're not that good. It doesn't really matter. Well, that's not really the point. You're not understanding. This hypothetical person probably doesn't care if they're good. I see it all the time. It's just people just want a character they love. So going from previously what used to be a 1 in 5 chance when losing 50/50s is now 1 in 6 and soon to be a 1 in 7, which obviously for someone who's free to play or a low spender, it may take them a while to lose enough 50/50s to potentially get that character. You know, as if losing 50/50s is a good thing. Now the thing is given enough time, literally any player will be happy about the standard banner growing. Everyone is destined to get to the point where I'm at. People who spend money just get there quicker. While somebody may currently really want C6 Kaching and they just see added characters as an obstacle to that goal, eventually when they do get there, and they will with enough playtime and maybe enough little, you know, money spent, lost 50/50s, which generally not a good thing, but some people want, you'll have what you want, and typically you'll probably want Kaching to stay away after that, which means you'll want as small of chance of getting her as possible. I mean, maybe your goal just moves on to, well, now I want C6 Mona, and you're kind of back to where you were. No matter which way you look at it, diluting the standard pool has its pros and cons. It's just going to affect each individual differently. But let's talk about how they're doing it, because when Tighnari was added, I don't think people were upset about it. I didn't see much negative sentiment around it because people were just happy that they get another chance to get a new Dendro character. And also we didn't have a bow, like I said, on the standard 5-stars. He added some much needed diversity to the banner, giving, you know, a 5-star bow user and also just representing Dendro, the new and exciting element from the Sumeru region. But as this user says their problem is that it's another Pyro Claymore, which is totally understandable. That is not diversity, even though Dehya does different things. She's a little bit more of a tank, and she's filling kind of a role that we just don't really have right now. However, I would argue, is that role valuable? That is yet to be determined. We'll find out when Dehya is released. I agree that a second Pyro Claymore is not the most interesting thing to add in a 5-star for the banner. Now, it's great for people who love that and want more of it, but that's not going to be everybody. And adding another Sumeru character that may be difficult for newer players to add, that certainly does have its drawbacks. However, I'm of the camp that I don't think we should limit the design of the game just for new players. New players are only new players for a little bit, and I don't think rolling something like Dehya is going to turn them away. It might be a little bit of a bummer to some players, but I would like to look at it that they have something to look forward to, and they may be more motivated to get to the Sumeru region. Not to mention, when you are starting up, you can only ascend a character so far anyway, so it may not be that big of a deal. Let's take a look at the most upvoted comment on my poll asking people how they felt about Dehya being on standard. To which the comment says, "I'm bummed about what adding Dehya to the standard banner implies about the state of her kit, her numbers, and Hoyo's feelings about her presence as a character in the game more than anything. With Tighnari, it was understandable to add him to the standard, and he's still a good unit, but the only explanation for adding Dehya is that her design lacked care, was mishandled, and rather than go back to the drawing board with her, Hoyo just said screw it." Now, I believe that this is one of the most upvoted comments because this is one of the most negative outlooks about this, and when people tend to be down on a character, they probably think the worst about the reasons why. Now, the thought here is that she's standard because she's weak, but what's more likely, is she's standard because she's weak, or she's weak because she was designed to be standard? Now, to argue against my own point that she's weak because she's standard, well, why is Dehya standard? That's what I don't understand. That's why I was so shocked that she was added. Dehya is a character that so many people absolutely fell in love with the moment they revealed her in-game. This is a character that I expected to sell extraordinarily well, no matter what, whether her kit was bad, whether she didn't really do anything interesting, just based on her looks and how much people loved her design. We don't exactly have much of a precedent for that, given that most of the characters that do sell really well, despite being loved, also happen to just be really meta picks, you know, characters like Ayaka, Hu Tao, and Raiden Shogun. Now, the difference is those three characters are extraordinarily meta. They're all top tier characters and also have pretty good constellations to roll for, so there's multiple reasons why they would sell very well. Interestingly enough, the very first poll I ever made on this channel was asking people why they roll for the characters they roll for, and out of 17,000 votes, the smallest pool was the character strength in the meta. Now, a lot of the pushback about Dehya would suggest otherwise, that people do care about meta. Now, it may not be the whole reason why they pull it, it may not be the most driving factor, but I think more people care about meta than they're willing to admit. We've seen other characters that have very lovable personalities, such as like Yoimiya or Qiqi, do very poorly on recent banners due to their position in the meta or their perceived power levels, even despite the fact that Yoimiya is a respectably strong character who can clear all content without needing too high of investment like a character like Qiqi. Dehya is a weird case because despite this poll saying that people don't really care about meta, there seems to be an awful lot of people who are really concerned about how strong Dehya is or how weak she is because she was put on the standard banner. And just to state my opinion again, I don't believe she was put on the standard banner because she's weak. She may have been designed to be a little bit weaker, especially in the constellation department, because she's on standard. I genuinely believe this was planned from the start, despite being such a weird decision. Why make a character like Dehya a standard character when she could have sold so well even if she was weaker? There are those who are absolutely obsessed with this character. Yae Miko wasn't particularly powerful when she came out either, and she did reasonably well and maintains to be a very popular character who's discussed all the time, who gets tons of fan art. I just think we're at a design philosophy shift in Hoyo's thinking of the standard banner, that they want to expand it. Maybe it's just been so long that they want to refresh it a little bit and add some more interesting characters. And Dehya is certainly an interesting character. I'm so happy that she's on there because it means I'm gonna get cons for her accidentally, which was the same exact thinking I had when Tighnari was added. I didn't even care if he was good. I was just happy to get new characters. And then finally there's the weapon. I didn't even mention this thing because I don't know what's happening with it. We still don't know what's happening with Hunter's Path. Is it ever gonna come back? Is it gonna go on the standard banner eventually? Are we gonna get a different standard weapon banner? Like, are we gonna get standard weapon banner period? Because we don't have one. I don't know. I'm interested to find out. I'm definitely gonna get Dehya's weapon because I'm honestly afraid that these weapons are literally never gonna come back and they were only for people who rolled on the banner, which would be an incredibly weird decision in all regards. Why do that? That's gonna piss a lot of people off. People who want it aren't gonna be able to get refinements for it. Like, I don't know why. It's weird because adding to the standard banner, it's going to reduce the chance of people getting what they want on a standard banner even more, because while you can't lose 50/50s to weapons, the standard banner is a whole pool of weapons to dilute the pool of 5 stars even more. So now if you want a single character, I think currently it's a 1 in 16 chance or something. As this user suggests, I think it's time to put something like the epitomized path on the standard banner. It's an absolute crapshoot to get something you want with those ridiculous odds. The thing is that the standard banner is such a non-selling point. Most players know that wishing on the standard banner is an absolute waste of your primos. Some people do it anyway, and that if that's your choice, you go ahead, you do you. But most people don't do this. They wish their 5 wishes a month, maybe get whatever new characters they ascend with, get a couple wishes from that, and maybe the odd event and battle pass and stuff like that. It doesn't progress very quickly, even if you're a whale. This kind of solution helps a lot of people. The people who really want Dehya constellations and are afraid they'll never get them because of the low odds and that she'll never get reruns due to being standard, presumably. We don't know, it's a guarantee, but they're probably not coming back. Those people can actually get cons. The people who are afraid that their character pool is being diluted by adding a character like Dehya to it, well, they can guarantee get their Qiqi or their Qiqi or whatever. I think something like this is an absolute win. It barely touches Hoyoverse's bottom line. I don't think it will impact their sales at all. And it really just helps the player base get what they want. And it's a really good PR move for them. People would love this change. And who knows, maybe they already have something like this planned. Maybe there's something else. Like, what do you think? Do you want this system? Would you want something maybe a little bit different? I think it's time to give some choice in the standard banner because I would like to see the standard banner grow a lot. But quite frankly, there's so much to talk about there. I think that could be a video on its own and not just tagged onto the end of this. So for now, thank you to my members and my patrons for supporting me as always. Thank you to you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Attaboy!